it's about how you are, not only in person, but on social media and how you're marketing. So it has to be this cohesiveness. And so,
and this is the thing. It's all part of the evolution of your brand. That's great content.
where it's like, you're not too passive. You got to be conscious of what you're doing.
Right. By the way, that's a great word. As realtors, we must be more conscious of our surroundings and how we present ourselves within those surroundings is key.
Yeah.
It's key.
From wine country to cottage country, real estate is all about lifestyle. I'm Andrew Perry, and welcome to That Fine Life. Welcome back to another episode of That Fine Life podcast. This is the podcast where we interview entrepreneurs, salespeople, business owners, and we try to find out, what it takes to live that fine life. Today, I am honored to have the Virginia Munden on the show, owner of Buzz Media, Inc. Well, actually, I think you were telling me off camera that you kind of work for Bella now. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Bella is my business partner.
Right.
She's also my daughter.
That's right.
But I find that I learn more from Bella and about the industry through her eyes. She's kind of like my mini muse, we'll call her.
That's amazing.
But she is the co-founder of Buzz Media, Inc., which has 3 or 4 different verticals, primarily the Buzz Conference,
right,
which is one of the verticals, the Buzz Digital Magazine,
yes,
and then we have the Hive Management Group.
Wow.
So those are the 3 most important verticals of Buzz Media, Inc., and our Summit and Spotlight space is our 4th.
Yeah, because it's been interesting. I get to see from when I first met you, and just as you've said this before, you've watched my career develop. I've watched your career as well as Bella's develop.
Yes.
And it's been really, really cool to watch her, take the Buzz Conference. And maybe this is me being completely ignorant, but did the Buzz Conference start first?
Well, the Buzz Conference was a name change.
Okay.
We've been doing conferences for about 12 years.
Oh, wow.
Maybe longer when we were working as realtors. As you know, I'm a licensed realtor.
That's right.
For almost 3 decades or 30
in
years.
Oakville?
Yes, in Oakville. With my husband, who primarily runs the real estate company under Munden Realty, Inc.
Right.
At Wayne Munden. I'm still licensed, but I no longer trade in real estate.
Right.
So when we started bringing the conference space to Canada, and we've not only hosted events here in Toronto, but we've also hosted them in Vancouver, in Calgary. We've hosted many events across Europe when I was speaking with Remax, a company that I worked for about 6 years. But when we first started them about 12, 13 years ago, Richard Silver, as you know, is our co-host. We used to attend conferences in the United States quite a bit, and we just were so passionate about the collaboration and the bringing of people together in a unique space that showcases brands, individuals, and brokerages across the country. We never saw that here in Canada.
No.
It was almost non-existent, except for what the bigger brands were doing for their own individual members.
Right.
But there wasn't a conference where all brokerages and all realtors, associations, real estate boards, independent real estate brokerages, as well as strategic partners and alliances would come together to collaborate, learn more about each other, to enhance the consumer experience. So what Richard did is he brought these mini conferences called Bar Camp, Rebar Camp, Real Estate Bar Camp to Toronto, and I brought them to Mississauga and the West End. So we had kind of like the best of both worlds. And from the Rebar Camp, every year we would have different organizing committee, different speakers, different sponsors, etc. And it's just something that over the years has evolved. But it's taken over a decade to get to where we are today.
Because I did hear, I think it was at Michelle's event in London. I think it was when I heard that you were involved in the event space before the Buzz Conference.
Oh, yes.
I was like, wow.
Yes. So it started with Real Estate Bar Camp West End. Then it transitioned to next gen, or the next generation realtor.
Okay, I did hear
so we
that.
we were kind of ahead of our time back then, because I look at where we are today and we've got an incredible influx of new real estate agents. So this is our next generation realtor, and you're a prime example of that, Andrew.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So the Buzz Conference, Isabella, it's so funny. I posted a photo when Isabella was young. She used to love to paint. She's very artistic and creative that way. And she painted, had a fascination with shoes. I've got my Gucci's on today.
Nice.
And she painted for me a boot, a designer boot. And underneath it said Virginia's Buzz. Oh. And from that moment on, I think she was 7 or 8, when I was practicing in sales and working with buyers, we had Virginia's Buzz out of Oakville. So that was sharing our daily muses around the city and around the community. And then we transitioned it into the conference space, and has stuck basically since 2020.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Because I remember the first one, and this all makes sense to me now.
Yes.
Because of how wowed and how well done the first event was in 2020.
2020 wasn't supposed to be that big.
It was big.
Yeah. Remember, Korea has 150,000 members.
Right.
And out of those 150,000 members, we look at, who's practicing and trading in real estate at a high level. Our conferences usually bring together 650 to 750 agents. Yeah. And that particular conference, because we had to postpone it from January to March, because we were put in lockdown in January, right. Remember? We had a sold out crowd at almost 1,200 agents. And we panicked a bit because we weren't prepared. Now, you wouldn't have seen that we weren't prepared. No. But we actually were not. But it actually worked out to be a really great day. Yeah. We had people from Europe attend. We had people from Manhattan, New York attend with Realm Global. We had people from across Canada, Calgary, Vancouver, Halifax, PEI. It was a really incredible day.
Yeah, interesting. What I liked about it was that, so the way the States do it, and the way Canada's always done it, like you said, it was just a little bit different in my experience, because I went to Richard Robbins.
Yeah, love Richard.
Yeah, he's great. He was fantastic. And I think there's something more when you're working through your own business, learning from your peers or people you know. Obviously, getting big headliners in is cool to draw people in. And you always get motivated when somebody at a huge high level. But I think you learn more from the people that you've seen on social media, the people that you know work locally. Right. And you're like, well, how does, Dorian get those listings? How does Amy Youngren? And, it's cool to see people you know, right? And so even when I first walked in, I tell you, I felt like a celebrity, and I look back on it now and just how crazy it was, because I was walking. It's like the first time that we had such a large group of local realtors, Ontario, Canada, that knew people from other groups or through doing deals with each other.
It was really through the online space, because remember, we had 3 years in COVID, in lockdown.
Right.
So people were not heading into the office, but they were heading into their digital offices, which is primarily Instagram.
That's right.
Or some Facebook groups, which I am no longer a part of any Facebook groups. I deleted myself almost 8 years ago. I just found for my headspace, I needed a strategy, and I needed to be more strategic of where I positioned myself to find those right alliances who can help bring buzz to the next level.
Right.
And we are at that space right now. We are working with Sabina Malik from M Industries.
Yes.
We've got an exciting new brand and an exciting new platform. Which is part of the Hive Management Group that is going to be launching this fall. So we are very excited to be working with Sabina. As you know, she works with some of the biggest brands in the industry. Huge. And so we're looking, we've had several meetings since the Buzz Conference ended in March on positioning ourselves with new voices, new leaders, because we do like to receive the feedback from our sponsors and some of our speakers, and also some of our attendees on who they would like to hear. But it was important for us to host this event and have the people who have been so loyal to us and to our brand and to our message of effective collaboration, collective collaboration within the real estate space. And we think it turned out really, really amazing. We love the Liberty Grand. As you know, we hosted it there. Different than the Living Arts Center. But what I found with the Liberty Grand, if anybody caught the relation of why we hosted it there, is it's one of the oldest government buildings here in Canada. It's got a great heritage, a lot of history, a lot of tradition, and the foundation of that building is relevant to real estate. To build our own personal businesses, we have to focus on the foundation, and we have to continue perfecting and aligning ourselves with proper people to establish ourselves as leaders, as authorities in our business. And what the Liberty Grand Group or the Liberty Group has done for Liberty Grand is they've positioned it as the conference space or the entertainment space in all of Toronto. But that's through a lot of hard work. It's just not a building. It's a business. It's a brand. It's a recognizable product that we can go and create these experiences of value for our real estate community.
But it's in such a great location too.
It is,
because it is downtown, but it's lakeshore, so it's like it's not like you have to go drive through the heart of the city. Like for me, anyways, because people who come from east and west go to the QEW and then to the Gardner and then et cetera. So I thought that was a beautiful venue, and I think that event went so well as well. So, but let me ask, because it's what you've created is, might have started as a conference, but it's more of a community now.
It is.
And, it's stemmed out so many, off events that you're doing. So how important was it to you that you needed to maybe start something that was more of an empowerment mission?
Empowerment is, in my opinion, is kind of like an overused word. In the beginning, it was to empower our industry. But I think where we are today is, and I need to find the right word, and it will come to me, but we have to look at ourselves as individual businesses.
Right.
We are here to inspire and empower our industry, but because of social media, we may have forgotten the most important part of that equation, and that's the consumer.
I agree.
So we do these events to help us inspire, educate, and inform the consumer through experiences. And those experiences, we hope that people find those golden nuggets, those little magical taglines that when you speak, that light bulb goes on. Oh, yes, that's what I'm missing. And when we come to these conferences, when we gather and listen and share and network and become inspired by our speakers, our sponsors and special guests, we want people to leave not feeling empowered, but recognizing that they have to do better when it comes to the consumer experience. We've forgotten about it. I have been in this business 30 years, and I love and I am truly inspired by this younger generation. I love everything you guys are doing. As I shared with Sam, he asked me if I was tech savvy. I'm not tech savvy, but I use my mobile device to connect, call, and speak with people. We've lost that. We are online now. We're DMing, we're texting, we're emailing. We're not opening up our emails. We're not responding to emails. We're not responding in a way that makes people feel special. And I think through the Buzz Conference, when people leave, we want them to recognize that they have to do better for the consumer.
It's interesting. You just there you go, another light bulb, because I do it unintentionally because I'm of the generation where I didn't grow up with the internet until I was 12, 13.
Right.
So even then, it was still, the internet was just something that you go to a library, you go to a school, and you log on.
Right.
So to me, the way I talk to you via text or DM is completely different from how I email somebody.
Right.
However, some of the new generation wouldn't necessarily and again, I'm just totally assuming and generalizing, but that's how they communicate is a little bit different.
And I have a 21-year-old who is, part of this digital generation. He's a digital creature, and that's the only way they communicate. And I worry about that with all this new generation. But, take our conversations, for example. We start our conversations on Instagram.
Yes.
We end up moving it to text. And then I'm like, Andrew, I'm going to call you now.
Yeah.
So that we can continue and finish the conversation.
Yes.
So we start with the idea and certain bullet points, and then we expand on them, connect, convert on the telephone.
Right.
Because I believe that telephone conversation solidifies the goal that we both have together.
I agree.
Especially for our new luxury event that we have coming up.
Yes, right? And I'm excited about that. Yeah. But it is interesting to see how different personalities communicate via text, because our VP of sales, Crystal Simons, has no backbone in her body. Right. But when she responds to things in an email, and it's just me, because I'm a different person too, I'm like, how am I taking this?
Right. Yes.
So call her. Right. Andrew, what do you want?
Yeah, it's
true. I got to ask how this sentence came about. Right. And then you said something interesting off camera that kind of ties into it all, where if we're leveraging, and that's what I loved about the last event, by the way, is how we were off talking about social media, and we were talking about servicing our clients and providing experiences, which I think is super important. But off camera, we were talking about what branding means to us as realtors. And it's and I'll let you speak on it, because it's not just about logos. Right. It's about how you are, not only in person, but on social media and how you're marketed. So it has to be this cohesiveness. And so focusing purely on the digital side of things and only trying to stay ahead of the trend or trying to stand out different, which is one that I'm totally all on board with. But when you're pushing the boundaries on certain things to try to get a laugh or likes, I think you lose that service or experience side of things. I hear to get a laugh or a like, and I love that word that you just used, cohesiveness, and that's where we need to work on. Real estate, and you may know, with Selling Sunset and all these glorified TV shows, has become a little bit about entertainment. Right. The United States can get away with it. In Canada, not so much. I agree with that. But people are testing the waters, and it's really fun to see. But there are certain elements that we need to keep professional, because the Canadian consumer is totally different than the American consumer. It's completely different. So unless you study consumer behavior, which I do, you have to be careful what you put out there. I agree. And there have been some questionable videos that have gone out over the last 3 months. I don't see them often, but they are sent to me in DM. People send them to you, eh? And it's like your thoughts. And as a realtor, licensed realtor, I see the reason why it was sent to me. As a business owner, it is questionable content. Right. And you have to ask yourself, if you're promoting yourself as a luxury realtor, luxury authority in your community, and you're posting questionable content to get likes and shares and comments, 600, 700 comments, I caution realtors that. I think the only one who is doing it right, who I love and is inspirational, is Matt Leonetti. Yes. And yourself, but we're here like discussing questionable content. Matt's content is very different. It's very unique. It is engaging. And when I watch some of his videos, especially some of the ones that showcase real estate strategies from the past, I'm like, he just nailed it right on. Yeah. Because I started my career with a mobile phone and actually, no, not even a mobile phone. My apologies. A bag of quarters for the payphone. For the payphone. And a pager. That's how I started my career. And then 10 years later, transitioned to a big mobile phone. Yeah. So, Matt does it very well, but now what he's doing, and I follow him every day, is he's monetizing
his database.
And good.
And he's working with, he's aligning himself with key people in the industry, and he's teamed up with Anna Oliver.
Yes,
He's
such
opening up
great...
his new office with Paul Greenberg, the agency in Etobicoke. And this is the thing. It's all part of the evolution of your brand. That's great content, right? But there is questionable content, and I caution the realtors who are producing it and sharing it.
Yeah.
You may be getting the love online, but offline they're not getting the love.
I agree. And it's not to say that, we're not talking about don't try new things.
No, try new things.
Absolutely.
But remember why you're in the business.
At the end of the day, we are professionals.
And we're here to be of service to the consumer.
I agree.
And you do it so well. You post great content. You align yourselves with real estate agents from out of town. And that's great for referral business. And I know a big part of your business is built on referral. I'll end it there.
Yeah.
When you have a strategy for your content, it will come across as a strategy and people will realize that. And I'll give you an example. Somebody was looking for a realtor in a specific location. So they contacted me and I gave them 3 potential realtors.
Yep.
And when I was speaking with them, I said, I need you to connect with each one of them. And I would like to know how you're going to connect with them. Oh, I'm going to go to their LinkedIn. I'm going to go to their social media. I'm going to Google them. That's how they start their research.
Yes.
And I said, when you make the decision, I need you to call me back based on that decision. So I gave them 3 names. And I really thought for sure they were going to go with the first person. But they ended up going with the second person because that second person was on their podcast.
Yeah.
And they loved the answers that second person had with the first agent.
Really?
First person.
Interesting.
So that's how podcasts work.
I agree.
Right? So podcasts do work.
Right.
But in that case, it worked for only one of the 3 people. Only the second one was on the podcast. The third one wasn't on the podcast, but they were also another great resource.
Right. And it's interesting. And that's why it's important to be conscious of how you're represented on those podcasts as well.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I can certainly understand that, because I go on a lot of podcasts and my demeanor changes depending on what kind of a podcast it is. So,
right.
But I'm aware of not trying to be too, what's the word? My wife would say moosh.
Moosh.
Right? Where it's like, you're not too passive. You got to be conscious of what you're doing.
Right. And by the way, that's a great word. As realtors, we must be more conscious of our surroundings, and how we present ourselves within those surroundings is key.
Yeah.
It's key.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, you got to know the audience too. It's like some podcasts, a swear will pop up, and it's just like kind of the, how it goes. But because one of the speech talks I did at the Buzz conference, which one was it? I think there's, I think it was what was the one we did in Mississauga again? The first one, Blue
Recharge?
One?
The Blue 35
The
Summit?
35, yeah.
Yes.
And it was on how to leverage free PR.
Yeah.
And that's
you do it so well.
And honestly, I've done over 20 appearances this year alone.
Yes.
And to talk about referrals, I had 51 last year, 90% of my business.
Wow, right?
And it's from
fantastic.
making use of the networking opportunities that you can get at the Buzz conference or other events, even those smaller networking events that a lot of realtors tend to turn down.
Right.
Because they don't see the value in it. But
there's value, like I said.
There's value in one-on-ones.
There's value in podcasts. There's value in video. I mean, look at Mike Sherrard out of Calgary.
Yes.
He's truly fascinating.
Wow.
Right?
He's been just whoosh, on this growth
and
path.
what I love about Mike is he flew in from Calgary and he brought his people together.
Yep.
Right?
Wolfpack.
He hosted an event the night before for Wolfpack. They all showed up at the conference. They were meeting and mingling with other realtors and strategic alliances. And I love seeing that. That's what Buzz does. When I see that people are making use of, even though he came to speak, he made use of his time to spend time with his people, to spend time with other EXP realtors, but also to meet and connect live with people like yourself and others within the industry where he may just know them from the online space.
I agree. And, it's important, and maybe it's just me, but like when I come,
right.
Remember, you usually, if there's going to be one guest there before anybody else, it's usually me.
Yes.
You walked in one time, you're like, what are you doing here?
I know.
It's too early.
Was it like 1 o'clock in the morning or something? I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Sometimes when I drive from Niagara, I just worry about the traffic.
Yes.
But I make use of the time. So what do you think what is the future of the events or the networking,
space?
Yeah, like what in terms of buzz media? I mean, like, what do you want to see it? Where do you want to see it go?
Well, we've got a few things coming.
Yeah.
But for now, we're happy where we are. I encourage people to attend events, to host their own events. There's a lot of companies that are hosting recruiting events right now. There's a lot of brokerages and brands that are hiring in a very big way. They're doing a lot of attraction marketing through smaller events. Those events are for the purpose of recruiting, and I think they're great. We were never allowed to do those 10, 20 years ago. We weren't allowed to, recruit or even think of bringing people in to recruit them from other companies. It was shunned upon.
Right.
But now with all these different models, it's a way to learn those models. So you look at EXP, you look at real brokerage, you look at rare real estate with their income stream or exit realty. We want to learn more about those models. Of course. And I think it's important that they host these events to teach people what's possible in our industry, right? And it is a lead stream. And in this industry right now, the leaders who are leading the way when it comes to attracting the consumer for the purpose of selling their homes and buying their homes, those top leading teams are concentrating on the consumer, whereas brokerages and brands are looking at recruiting and training and retaining new people, because those are the brokerages of the future.
Of course.
They really are.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to, you just look at some of the people that some of these...
Well, I had Ara on here.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
2 weeks ago.
He's been in our magazine this month. He's fascinating.
He's amazing. And he's like, and I'm like trying to dig deep. He's like, Andrew, it's like, we're not allowed we're not recruiting.
Yes.
We hold events for value. People want to come. That's it.
Yeah,
right?
but you got to teach the value. You got to teach the value. And Ara he's special. He's building his team. He's got someone opening up one of his locations in Calgary. He's about delivering value, and he does it in a very authentic way.
I agree.
Yeah, one of my favorites for over a decade now. I've known Ara.
Yeah, ever since I've known him, he's always been about providing value.
Absolutely. Yeah, and there is value in all these new brokerages that are opening up, or even
something for
in
everyone.
Disruptive brokerages like Revel Realty. There's we got to remember who the original disruptors were. The original disruptors are Mr. Posler, who is the co-founder of Remax Canada and Remax Europe. He started real estate selling houses from the trunk of his car with a sign on the roof of his car. And Mr. Morris from Exit Realty. Those are two of our industry's original disruptors that people thought would never make it. And they are globally recognized right now. Both Mr. Morris and Mr. Posler, fascinating people, and they have made our industry what it is today. And you look at the new disruptors, people like Ryan or Adam Stern from Rare Real Estate, Amy Youngren at Real Brokerage. These are our new disruptors, and they are putting a dent in our industry. And we have to applaud the work that they are doing.
Absolutely. And just how each one of them are just completely different. And when you say their names, you see their brand. When you see their brand, just even now in my head, just how different yet professional and individualized they are.
They are. Each one of them has something to offer. And I think, as I mentioned, we weren't allowed to showcase our brands years ago. I think it's important, and it's one of the reasons why Buzz has become so special, is we have showcased these people at our conferences, in our digital magazines, on our social media. So we help amplify their voices and their brands to the community, because when we don't do that, we are leaving opportunities and they are leaving money on the table. Our industry is no longer controlled by just big brands. Our industry is controlled by the next generation. And I am so proud of the work that each one of them are doing.
That's right. And it also, it's when you come from a collaborative space like that, it even puts the big brands to look inside internally and be like, wow, look what these people are doing.
Oh, they're watching.
But it's you hear chatter like, oh, this brokerage doesn't do this, and they don't care because they're so big. I have not seen that. I see Conrad from Remax Escarpment. He's doing so many different things to provide value to his realtors. Yes. So it's like I believe that every brokerage has its purpose for every realtor, and there's a fit.
Conrad's one
everyone.
of our
He's
Conrad's
amazing.
one of our favorites. When I was selling, we worked out of one of Conrad's offices in Burlington. And I remember when I was speaking in Europe for Remax Europe, Wayne was supposed to come to one of the events in South America with me. I was doing some training and he wasn't able to come. He was very busy that month. So I asked Conrad if he would come and speak on the brokerage level. So it was nice to have him a part of that. They're one of the pioneers. I mean, his father was one of the first independent franchise models with Remax Canada, with Frank Posler. His father opened up one of the first offices, so he's just grown since then.
That's amazing. And what just speaking as somebody, who's opened an office, I mean, I couldn't imagine if it was, what was Niagara on the Lake? I think like number 5 or 6 for Revel's offices, but being like one of the first, even like from Ryan and Conrad's father, to be one of the first to open such a scary thing.
Isn't that crazy? And they started with no social media, no website, no mobile phones, no internet, no computers, no apps, no Rogers, no BlackBerry, no iPhone. I mean, these things were non-existent, and they're big, big companies today. And when you look at the big brands, Remax Escarpment, Royal LePage Signature, Royal LePage Corporate, there's, just so many of them, even the Sotheby's, the Better Homes and Gardens, Century 21's, Coldwell Banker, Exit Realty. Those brands are established brands, and there's more. They will always be around. You can't, they compete on a totally different level amongst each other, but their leadership, their leadership team, the position they have in our marketplace, they will always be here. And they will be here to lead the way. And, but the next generation is right there with them.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
So, is there anything maybe that, advice you can give to the next generation at all before we sign off?
Yeah, just remember the consumer.
Yeah.
Remember the consumer.
Very important. Very important.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I can say, but again, at Buzz, we're not here to judge. We're here to pay attention.
I love that.
We're here to listen, and we're here to advise. And we're also here to share stories through our Buzz Digital Magazine, our Buzz conferences, etc. But we do have to get back to listening to what consumer wants, not to what real estate agents want. We are in a time right now where we can amplify and position ourselves in our communities as leaders, where the consumer trusts us.
Right.
But if we're always online speaking with realtors and inviting realtors to our podcast, which I think is a great strategy because it's introducing people from different cities and communities.
That's right.
So that exposure is really important. But we do have to get back to strategizing our voice and our reason and reasoning to being in the industry. And that's to provide an exceptional and slightly superior consumer experience.
Right. And I agree, because we're kind of, I'm not saying that ChatGPT or buyer online programs or whatever,
right.
I don't think they'll ever start or take over the industry, but I do think from what I'm seeing from some of the industry that if we were to all follow down that path, we would be in a losing battle trying to win over consumers' trust.
Right.
So it's great that, we have people like yourself and other industry leaders that are trying to help the next generation realize that it is really the consumer that matters.
Right.
So what?
If I can just make a note on that, when we talk about real estate boards and associations, we've got CREA, we'll call them our parents. Right, with 150,000 members. We've got all of our provincial associations, RIA being the biggest, with almost 80,000 members. TREB, the largest real estate board in the world, with almost 78,000 members. MREB, I think, is number 4. So we've got Ottawa number 2, Burlington or RAB, Burlington Hamilton number 3, and then MREB Mississauga as number 4. As real estate agents, we have to utilize and use the resources that our real estate boards have to offer. I don't think agents know that they are more resourceful than we know. And that's one of the things that during COVID that the buzz has done. We basically brought leaders out of these association and brokerage real estate board offices, and we've positioned them in our conference space and also in our Buzz Digital magazine. They are not just there to host MLS, right? We've got the TREB MLS and we've got the ITSO MLS. They are there for more. They're there for advocacy. They're there for governance. They're there for get involved on a community level, on a volunteer level. They host and have focus groups or task forces, women's task force, the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion task force. They have communications task force. Realtors, instead of spending all this time online, they could be aligning themselves with their local real estate boards and learning more about community and how to professionalize, I'll call, their own personal businesses. CREA has an incredible designation. For Canadians, we are in a big global predicament position right now, where we have 411 to 565 newcomers coming into Canada each and every year for the next 5 years. This is outlined by the federal government, by Trudeau and his friends. How do we tap into that market, right? If it wasn't for newcomers, our industry wouldn't survive. Newcomers are helping us survive both residential, both commercial, and investment opportunities.
Absolutely.
So we need to tap into those markets. So CREA has the CIPS designation. It's my favorite designation right now. I have so many designations and we need them all, right? There's luxury, seniors, international real estate specialists, there's negotiation experts, sellers expert. But the CIPS right now is a designation that will allow a realtor to capitalize on international markets. And there's also the global network that you can become a part of with over 2,500 members across Canada and the world that you can position yourself to network with and eventually try and create referral business from all these different destinations. Position yourself as the leader for Canadian real estate. But that CIPS designation and all these local real estate boards with all their task forces, volunteerism, advocacy, realtors need to start utilizing those tools to position themselves a little stronger in their marketplace.
I agree. I was on the MLS committee at my board for 2 years, and then I was on the YPN board for a year. So it was great, but it was interesting to see the struggle that the local boards have, especially the smaller ones.
Yes, you're right.
Because not everybody wants to open the emails, let alone attend an event.
Yes.
You know?
Right.
So,
right.
but so I like that you said that. And because when I was first started that, it was just kind of no brainer for me to try to get started within the board.
And we brought all of those people out of their offices.
Yeah.
Tim Hudak.
Yes.
John D. Michelle. Luigi Favaro, who's now the new VP of partnerships at ARIA. People like Nelson Goulart, and most recently from ITSO, we finally found an awesome female leader at the MLS letter, the executive director of ITSO, Alison McClure. These are all people that we've invited into our space, and we've given them the voice to let our industry know, we're here to help guide you.
Yeah.
Come be a part of our network, our association. We want to see you thrive. And what ARIA did during COVID with the LifeWorks app, and making sure that our mental health and wellness is taken care of, free to ourselves and our families. Our associations and real estate boards, they care for us. So let's give back, and let's give back to our community.
Very well said.
Yeah.
Now, is there anything you might want to get out there for future events that you have coming up?
Well, we've got the luxury event.
The luxury secrets.
The luxury secrets has been a secret, but we're the experience that we are trying to provide with this, and we've been talking about this for the last year. How you have opened up a luxury office in Niagara-on-the-Lake, the Fine Estates team luxury office at Level Realty, and you've offered this space for this event. We're going to come and network at your office and listen to a few guest speakers. We're going to have espresso and cappuccino and cannoli and a few treats. And then you've also, you're our platinum sponsor for that event. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And then we're going to head over to Paradiso, which is a family estate winery in Niagara-on-the-Lake, where we're going to experience Paradiso wines and charcuterie. And I would like to thank Carrie Benvenuti for being our gold sponsor for that event, for our charcuterie and our wine tasting experience. And we're going to be networking at that event. So not a conference, but a small summit. Remember, the luxury realtor has a different mindset. These are our aficionados in our industry. They are our leaders. They are in that top 10 of our real estate industry. So we've invited about 300 to 350 luxury specialists to this event, depending on who can make it. But we have a really nice crowd coming. We've got people like Richard Silver, who's going to present Realm Global, which is an exclusive high net worth network out of Manhattan, New York. Julie Fopel created this brand and this network platform. We've got Christina and Carlos Clavero coming from the agency, Paul Greenberg from the agency, as well as Steve Bailey and Katya Bailey, who are some of the founders of the agency here in Canada. We've got some people from Callie Heap's Estrin team, which is the #1 team in at Royal LePage Canada. We've got people from all the luxury brands that will be here, including yourself, representing Revel Luxury, Sotheby's International Realty. Ken, I think his last name is Mesrek, is going to be here moderating one of the panels, as well as Sabina Malik, Luxury Brands, who has worked with some of the big OGs of luxury real estate, including Peter Popasic, who will be on one of the panels, as well as Barry Cohen, Dan Cooper. Some really big people, as well as Stories, which you've been recently showcasing Stories. We have Danny Roth, the founder of Stories Publishing and of Brandon Communications. So we're going to talk a little bit about PR, public relations, media. You've also been in Dolce magazine. Yeah, so we're fingers are crossed. We have something with Dolce that's going to be coming up too. We hope to get some of their magazines at this event, which you are featured in.
Well, that's a good idea. Double promo.
I know.
I love it.
I know.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming out here and chatting with me today.
Thank
you.
I
know, we got a lot of work ahead of us in this industry, but with your help and your team's help and Bella and your whole network, it's going to make it a little bit easier for us.
You're the reason why we do what we do.
Well, thank you.
You're our why. But again, we see how you are with your consumer, and that's what inspires us to deliver the next best thing in Canadian real estate. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
On your podcast. It's a fine life.
That's great. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Leave us a great review on Spotify. That way we can keep those algorithms in our favor so more realtors, more business owners can enjoy our content. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, follow, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that other stuff.